Alright. Hello, I am recording this. I have this, like, nice little thing, because I wrote the music, I did all the stuff for this, and I think that's important for the video, because I want to talk about questions of, authorship and AI and all these things. And, I mean, for me, I'm using, like, I'm using samples and stuff like that, right? But obviously, like, I'm putting something into this, right? I'm putting my own thing. So, the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I've been really frustrated lately with AI. I've been very it's actually, like, really hit me mentally. So I spent, and I'll preface this, like, I stand with art. AI art is a travesty. It is probably one of the worst things that has ever happened in the human race. It has taken all the soul. I personally, I draw. I'm not a I'm not a great draftsman, but I mean, I look at Leonardo and I look at, like, Bronzino. Bronzino's my favorite Renaissance artist, and I love to look at Bronzino and I try to figure out, like, what is Bronzino doing, and I'm trying to pull that out, and I try to redraw it, and I'm like, oh, it's so hard to do, and it's so good. I mean, I enjoy trying to figure it out, and for me, like, that's the magic of it, right? It's like that you can't copy Bronzino. Like, I can sketch, I can try to figure out his wild perspectives and all these things. I can't figure it out. And he's not a good person to really draw from if you're a new artist, and I'm not a great artist. I'm a sketcher at best, right? But I mean, like, I can draw enough to, like, create, like, a graphic identity. So I mean, I have the basics, but when I try to make those basics specific, I can't do what he does. I can get his forms right. I have these sketchbooks where I have drawn, in my sketchbook, I have drawn so many. I went to a used bookstore and I found the Met Bronzino book, and I bought that on a heartbeat, because I was actually copying out of it. I was copying positions out of that PDF, and when I got the book, I'm like, oh, thank God, because now I can finally take tracing paper, and I'm not taking tracing paper to, like, get the form. I'm taking tracing paper for, like, the line of action or, like, incidents, right? I'm trying to figure out, like, if I get head, shoulders, pelvis, like, where is the line? Because when I was doing it on the screen, when I was drawing in my sketchbook, I was like, oh, I'm not getting it right, I'm not figuring it out. But if I can, like, put a piece of tracing paper over the page, just draw some circles and draw a line, and I'm like, that helps me kind of figure out, like, where do I want to do things. So anyway, I mean, like, my position on, obviously then, like, my position on AI art is pretty solid. I mean, I've actually been, like, arguing on my other channels. I've been very vehemently arguing against the AI bros about AI art. I really despise it, and it's because I am a composer. I'm a musician, and I didn't really, like, I was, like, against it. I was always against it, but when the music stuff started coming out, I was, like, really against it. I'll link in the description my writing on my thoughts on AI music. But my thing about AI anything is that it's and I wrote it in a comment I made recently on one of my channels. I made a comment on, what channel is it? Oh, I can't find it, but I made a comment about it's on one of the people who made an anti-AI video, and I mean, I don't really care. I don't really like. I watch a lot of art videos, so I mean, I'm watching these videos no matter what. But for me personally, it's this question of, it's not about, like, AI people. They like be like, oh, we're democratizing this thing. Oh, we're making this thing easier for people to get to. It's like, that's just all fucking bullshit. I spent years of my life. I came from nothing. Look, I studied music from nothing. I had no one to help me. I learned everything on my own. I went to college. I couldn't get a music degree because of class things or whatever, so I dropped it, right? And I worked hard. I learned music. I sent it to my former professor. He gave me lessons. He sent me to a friend of his to give me private lessons. And then from that, I was able to develop my skills. But the thing is, I had to... It's not whether my music is good or not. The thing is, I put in a lot of effort. I put in a fuck ton of... Do I have to mute that? I don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't have any sub things. I put in so much effort to study music, and I still... I mean... It doesn't matter really that much in like the grand scheme of things, but I put in a lot of effort to study, put in effort to put myself out there. I went to go study in other places. I came back and everything. I learned things, and you know, my music is very rarely performed. I'm not a household name. I'm like a loser. But the thing is, like, we live in this society where, like, if AI just sort of acts as this filter, right? This filter of, like, if you are not X name, then you are a loser. It's like the Hans Zimmer thing. I hate Hans Zimmer. Look, he's fine. But I hate him as a composer. My favorite film composer is still Toru Takemitsu. He is the only film composer. Anyone else, like, doesn't exist, because Bernard Herrmann, he's there, but like Hans Zimmer kind of destroyed film scores in some sense. He made it all bland, kind of fucking garbage. It's just like, it's not musically interesting. Takemitsu was doing all kinds of interesting things. He was messing with sounds. He was doing all kinds of things. And Hans Zimmer just making fucking granular synthesis, like his whole score. It's not interesting. But that's me ranting. But I'm not trying to make this like as like I know I can come off as like, I think this can come off as like being jaded or whatever. Look, I've been performed. I've had opportunities for my music to be performed, and I'm very happy. Right, I'm making music for this thing, and I love making. I love the music that I made for this, but I think the problem is AI music represents, like with AI art, a sort of like distillation of the art form down to like this like marshmallow, kind of boring, kind of like uninteresting thing. It's like what happened with FromSoft, right? You play like Armored Core games. I love Armored Core. You play the music is so interesting in all these games. They're so everything about these games is so weird. It's so off kilter. It's so interesting, and it fits the game. You play like Dark Souls, and Dark Souls just feels just like it's just fantasy music. And I mean, I wrote. I mean, I would be honest. I mean, you can go to my SoundCloud. I wrote JRPG music, quote unquote, for positioning for a game. And I mean, I don't really like that music that much. I think it's kind of ass. There's some ideas in it that are good, maybe, but like a lot of the stuff that I like, I wouldn't position as like marketable. A lot of the stuff I do for Magic Black, I really like that stuff. I mean, I'm really into that, but I mean, I felt this way for a long time, because I've been so. I think people can put me as like maligned, right? Because like when I went to study music, I had come to my teachers interested in modality, interested in church music, right? And when I come out of that, there's no output for that. There's no output for church music anymore. No one really wants to, well, unless you know them, no one wants to do new liturgical music. And so I come out of this situation, I come out as like, I'm a professional musician, quote unquote. I did perform for a long time, but I haven't performed lately because ever since COVID I haven't performed. But like, I come out of this music, quote unquote, as a professional musician, as a professional composer, but I don't have credentials, quote unquote, or I don't have these things. And it's sort of like, at some point, the credentials don't mean anything because all of these things get superseded by AI, right? So like, I didn't get the credentials, but at the same time, someone who got all those credentials is now going to be replaced by a bot, right? And so like, I'm happy I didn't lose money, even though I spent a lot of money studying music. But at the same time, you know, I feel for, you know, other composers, because I am akin, again, with the artists. I am one with the artists, and I find it very sad. I find it very perplexing, because I don't think we have a place, and I don't want to say like we don't have a place. I think people always want interesting, like, I think, why I can't say jack shit on the thing I write. The thing I write is the thing I write, but I think I can do many things. Like, you know, I can pass myself off in many ways, but like, I feel like the problem is there are people who write very boring music in this industry, and I'm not going to name the names, but they're all the people who get paid by the VST people. All of VST, if you see a SoundCloud run by a VST company and they have someone listed as like, those people are not real composers. They are not real composers. They don't have a real idea in their brain. They just make like fucking shill music. A composer is someone with a vision. It's like an artist. An artist is someone who has an idea in their brain. They say, I want to draw X. I want to draw something. And they put down their thing. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about your style, whatever. I actually really do give anime style a lot of fucking really hard shade. It's kind of funny because, like, the characters in this game are pretty anime-ish. But I mean, like, I give anime drawers real hard shade because I'm very, 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 very much, when I draw, I come from Renaissance. I really prefer the Renaissance style, and that's what I prefer. And when I try to draw, if I fuck up and you think like, oh, that character looks like, if there's like no if there's no what's it called? If there's no oh my god, if there's no detail, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, it's not right. But like, I mean, I'm coming from my own perspective, so I mean, I don't want to shit on people. I respect all styles, as long as you're not AI. But my thing is, like, for me, I think what's more important is that, like, if you come from your own perspective, from your own view of life, you're creating something from the things that you want to do, then that's good. You shouldn't make something that isn't part of you, like art, music, or anything or whatever. When I make, I mean, I've written so much music. I played, when I was like gigging, I played punk music, I played jazz, I was comping in a jazz band, I was gigging, I was playing power violence, I was doing grindcore, all that kind of stuff. But for me, I didn't see it as different from who I was. I thought I was part of all those things. And when I left that, and I didn't leave that on purpose, it was just that I left that because all of the avenues dried up. And for a long time I felt very bad about that, because I felt like I was trying to make up for the fact that I felt very weird about the fact that I was so disparate. I was all of these different things that didn't line up, and at the same time, all of those things kind of connected to me, right? They all came back to this pure belief I had, right? I this punk, this power violence, this like stuff, and I come back to this, like, this my pure beliefs, and I don't want to be like, I'm not gonna be like liturgical here, but I mean, like, these are the things I believe. And so when I wrote music for this, right, it was more like, well, the stage is the Bible, so the stage is like the thing that I write music to. So I wrote music to, I made the stage first, and then I wrote the music to it, right? And then I have to figure out how the waves form. But like, I for me, that's like the ideal. Like, that's the thing, is like, as a musician, as a composer, like, when I think about things, they have to be related to the concept. I can't imagine music not related to the form. I come from liturgical music, I come from chant, I come from, the word is the text, the word is the form. And so I can't imagine, like, for me to be like, oh, AI music is real, and it's like, no, it's not real. It doesn't really convey human spirit. It doesn't convey, like, what it means to live. It doesn't convey the many facets of life. It just conveys like a surface, a sort of a thing that exists, but it's not real. It's just like a simulacrum. What did Baudrillard would say? Simulacrum. It's an image of life, but it isn't life. Life is music. Music is life. And if you want to, like, create like a form of something that is like an image of life, you can kind of create it, but it's not really the same. There are so many things that, like, come into being when you create something that you can't control, and AI can't, like, really do that. There's so many fascinating things that can happen, and AI just spits you out one thing, and I guess you can, like, modify it, but it doesn't really work. You can't really work with it. But when you have the opportunity to really, like, make something, Like the AI people never understand this. They've never made anything in their life. They don't understand what it takes to really give yourself to a process. But when you make something, when you really actually give yourself up to something, what you create matters. And I mean this, like, the AI people, when they make things, nothing matters, because they can just prompt it away. They can just, like, maybe they can just, like, do something that'll fix some issue or whatever, and it's like, but when we make something, when people make things, these things matter. These are extensions of who we are. These are part of our lives. And even if they're bad, like, even if the thing if you make is bad, that's probably better. I think it's probably better if it's bad, because AI can't make bad, quote unquote. AI is trying to make a future, a perfect thing, a perfect amalgamation of something. But for us, we're human. We're trying to deal with these things that we love, that we want to create new things from. We're trying to we're desperately trying to make something new from what we know. And I think that's probably the most admirable thing possible. Because, like, we're not making money anymore. We're, like, money is gone. Like, there's no money in music. I gave up on that 10 years ago. I gave up on fucking ever making money on music 10 years ago. And it has nothing to do with skill. It has more to do with just the market. And I think it's the same with everything else. I think we need to be honest with ourselves. I think we need to say, you know, the world isn't built for us. The world is built for people to exploit us, and we need to try to create worlds that can sustain us. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. All right, later.